Hi, my name's Nikki. I'm the Obsessive Bookseller, and welcome to my channel. Today, I'm going to go over my Tackling the TBR shelf for November 21. I am unrealistically optimistic at how many books I think I'm going to be able to get through this month, but I'm having so much fun reading that I thought I would give myself plenty of awesome books to pick from. First of which, I will be continuing Memories of Ice by Steven Erikson, book 3 in the Malazan series. I mentioned in my October wrap-up that I made a concerted effort to get through this book last month, but it just didn't happen. It's so dense. There were nights when I was only reading about 2 or 3 pages at a time. So this will continue to be my physical read for this month, and I'm hoping to finish it early because I have a few other physical reads I'd like to pick up. The first of which is The Thief Queen's Daughter by Elizabeth Hayden, book 2 in the Glen Polytheme series, set in her Symphony of Ages world. It's a middle grade book. I raved about the first one in my underappreciated authors video. I love it when high fantasy authors write for a younger audience because their stories are usually a lot more rich and robust. And if I get through that, I'd like to read the third and last published, I don't know if it's the final book, I hear it doesn't really wrap up, but of the Borderlands series. This one's called Shadows Past. My copy does not have a cover. Covenants, the first book in this series, is a random find for me, a book I really ended up enjoying. And even though I know the author kind of disappeared off the planet and never went back to the series, never really finished it, so this is just going to be a fun read, I really like her writing style. It's flowing, the characters are interesting, the world is pretty cool, I like the politics. So yeah, can't wait to read the last of what I have from her. And probably my highest priority for the month is Leviathan Falls. It's the final book in the Expanse series, and I have been loving this one since the very beginning. It's probably my favorite sci-fi. I love the characters, I love the story, and most of all, I love the momentum that the authors are able to build. That like careening snowball towards the end that makes you not want to put the book down. And there's a lot riding on this final book. I'm hoping they'll be able to channel the same momentum they had in books 1, 5, and 8 and really give us a killer ending. I can't wait. I'd also like to pick up The Last Graduate by Naomi Novik, and this will be dependent on whether or not my library hold comes in. Deadly Education was one of my favorite books of last year. It was such a cool idea for a story. It's basically a school where the gifted go, but there aren't any teachers and there aren't any rules, but if you screw up, you could die. So that's probably the only way that framework works. The main character is quite unlikable, but that's actually the thing I like most about her. She's kind of an anti-hero in training, in my opinion. I thought the series was supposed to be a duology. I thought this one was ending it, but as ever in the publishing world, it is now a trilogy, and I'm really hoping that this one isn't stretched out unnecessarily just to get a third book later. So I'm hoping for just as much substance, but fingers crossed. And I will also be continuing the Vlad Taltos series. A couple of friends and I are buddy reading it over at my Goodreads group, and we are going chronological order. And that was actually a suggestion from someone in the comments, so thank you for that. It's been a lot of fun so far. But this one we are picking up between other things. We're doing about a chapter a day. I find myself looking forward to it. This is a really cool hodgepodge of genres. It reads like an urban fantasy, but it's set in a high fantasy world, and every novel seems to have this overarching mystery to solve, so it kind of wraps up pretty nicely by the end. And I'm really liking the quirk and the snark. The main character is reminiscent of Dresden. Next, my book club is reading King of Ashes by Raymond E. Feist. I'm a longtime fan of this author. His Magician's Apprentice is the book that got me into fantasy. And I mentioned before, but I had a lot of problems with the last few Riftwar books. I felt like he was relying really heavily on the merit of the characters he wrote early on in the series, like, oh, you should really like this person, he's the great-great-great-grandson of Jimmy the Hand, or whatever. And he did not spend any time developing new characters and making you want to get behind them. So those were kind of throwaway novels. I am hoping with a brand new world and a whole new framework, and the fact that he was forced to create new characters and give us compelling reasons to get behind them, that I'll really like this. So hopefully it's good, fingers crossed. And I picked up the 7th copy of Sheann Maguire's Wayward Children series. Thank you to Tor for sending this to me, and I would really like to start the series. I don't normally drop everything and pick up reads when I get an arc if it's later in the series, but this is one that I was already intending to read, and they're kind of short, like the Murderbot Diaries, so at the very least I'm going to give it a try. This is Where the Drowned Girls Go. It's the 7th book in the series, and it doesn't come out until January, so I have time to slowly make my way through the whole thing if I like it. So I'll let you know how it goes. I'm always looking for good little palate cleansers between the bigger reads, and novellas really fit the bill for that. If I finish all of those, I will let myself pick up A Trouble with Peace by Joe Abercrombie. I just finished A Little Hatred and loved it, and I can't wait to continue, but I'm also sad to continue because if I get to the end, then I'll have to wait for more Abercrombie, and that would be horrible. So I'm both eager to read this and hoping to stall on starting it. Book nerds are weird, that's all I'm saying. I have some new reading goals in the works. I'm calling it Project Urban Fantasy, and there will be a video out on that soon. But basically, I organized all of my urban fantasy to-be-reads, and I'm going to be picking through those every month. And this month I am looking at Dead Until Dark by Charlene Harrison, book 1 in the Suki Stackhouse series. It's the series that True Blood was based off of, and I have read this first book years and years ago. I liked it, and I'd like to reread it before continuing to see if it still holds up to the test of time. I need an urban fantasy where I know the basic quality of the writing is good, and if nothing else, I do remember that I liked the writing style for this one. I'm also possibly looking at starting the Mary Gentry series by Laurel K. Hamilton. The first one is called Kiss of Shadows. I really liked the early Anita Blake novels. They kind of verged on horror in a few places, but it was a very intense, very serious sort of urban fantasy, one of the best I've read. And then it kind of went off the rails. If you've read the series, you know what I'm talking about. But at least those first few books were good. I have no idea what to expect with this one, but it's been on my list for so long I'd at least like to try it. I do audio quality production reviews for Audiophile magazine, and this month they sent me Wandering Earth by Lou Sixon. It's a short story, and I'm being led to believe it's one of the ones that put this author on the map and kind of opened up the career. And the basic premise is kind of cool. The sun is about to go supernova, so Earth itself, like the whole planet, is traveling somewhere else. Can't wait to give that one a try. And the next one is The Best Thing You Can Steal, book 1 in the Gideon Sable series by Simon Green. This is an author I've been wanting to pick up for a while, so when it came across my radar, I thought I'll take it. It sounds like a cheeky horror urban fantasy mix, and I'm not a big fan of horror. I'm kind of a wimp, but I can handle a few things if there are also other things going on in the story. This one's a novella, and I am very hopeful that I'm going to enjoy it. And my nonfiction for the month is The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem. It's one of the ones I've been dragging along for a couple of years on my Audible account, so hoping to get to it now. And that wraps up my TBR. I have way too many titles to get to this month. At least I have enabled myself with a bunch of awesome ones to pick from. In the not too distant past, I used to find having this many options overwhelming, but I am enjoying reading so much more now that it seems fun, not intimidating. And part of that is due to my newfound commitment to only reading one book at a time. That has been a game changer. I am still working on my Audible completion challenge and my overflowing bookshelf challenge, and quite a few of these will count towards my overflowing bookshelf, but only 2 of them are from my audio book collections. Yeah, I probably am not going to hit my goal by the end of the month, but I like doing challenges, but I don't like them to drive my reading selections completely. I just like them to influence them. So thank you so much for joining me on this Tackling the TBR post. I'd like to know what books are on your Tackling the TBR shelf this month. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope to catch you next time. Bye.